So I wanted to explain how this became a book and how it can help you, perhaps mainly as a parent trying to create, a loving, consistent relationship with your child. If you are on the road where you understand that we carry ancestral traits, that you also understand that we learn through the subconscious, that we carry programming from how we were raised, because the way our parents were raised by their parents, and those little traits come down the bloodline, the family line, almost like osmosis. It's something that just is passed through without being questioned. We also learn by observing. As a child, we learn behaviors by observing. We copy it. This thinking mind isn't there yet to question, why do I walk this way? Why do I act this way? Why do I do this after this? Why do I do this before this? And the child don't have that conscious advanced thinking mind that an adult will do, which we call it the overthinking in a way. But I was able to somehow, eventually, after many situations of not seeing it, I was able to suddenly see, and not always, but I remember suddenly one time I just realized my son's behavior was trying to show me something. And it came through it came through a behavior that I used to do as a child. And I used to do as a child because I was frustrated that the way the situation was being dealt with could have been different and better and easier and more loving. It wasn't a horrible situation or anything like this, but it could have come without a tone. So it was basically just the voice tone of a parent when they when they feel the need to raise that tone. And I remember having a behavior because of the tone, but they're being shut down because in my family trait, we aren't supposed to speak back. So my son did a behavior quite a few times before I was able to see that. And when I saw that, I realized it's my tone. And it was my parents' tone coming through me, being then affecting my son. And his behavior was the same as mine. And that's what made me see. I think if his behavior was very different, perhaps I wouldn't see it that way. So this is the first aha moment I had to see how our children's behavior are there because of that, like I can explain that hexagon, that magnetic pull away from each other, because there is a lot of unconditional love here and very much so conditional love down this side. And the pull that creates within this space give space for these behaviors to come through. And as my son presented a behavior, I was able to realize through those recognitions of myself that it was the tone. So the tone was one of the first thing I realized, that can I make a change? Why am I speaking with that tone? Can I make a change? Is that my tone? Did I learn that from copying, learned behavior, from exposure? And I'm not talking here from blame, shame, or guilt. I'm simply talking here as a fact. And when I was able to work through my tone, which then took me a while and took me a few trials and took a few fails, and then feeling guilty for myself and feeling guilty, and I managed to make a consistent change. Through there, I've learned how to discern the energy of that transition change, which then I also write in this book, so you can pick up the energy change in yourself to assist you with that change, with the transition. It's not just making a conscious choice to use a different tone. There is an energy process behind it, and that the book talks about that, because it was a realization its own as I was writing it. And when I made the change of my tone, not all of the tones, but the main tone that was creating this tension between us, his behavior was gone like this. Gone. Literally gone. And I just couldn't believe it. I just couldn't believe it. I was just like... So he was just trying to tell me something. He was showing me something. He was shining the light on my darkness for me to see. And I saw it. And the minute I saw it, and that behavior was gone, another behavior came through. Because if you think about it, when you shine a light on yourself and you work through a shadow, something else surfaces. When that's something that was surfacing that wasn't there before, because it was blocked by this first layer, this first layer of issue. When that issue's gone, another layer comes up. He was then presenting a new behavior, and I'm like, he's never done that before. That's a brand new behavior. And at first I didn't pick up that way. It took me then another few repetitive cycles to be able to realize, right, he's trying to show me something, he's trying to present something to me. And he was coming in such an unconditional love, almost like a job, because besides waking up in the morning and presenting that again and again until I see it, he wasn't retaining the programming that he was trying to show me, even though I was active using that programming. And that's the thing about the consciousness of these kids today. The unconditional love is so great compared to previous generation. It's so intense, it's so present that there'll be a resistance for them to retain any conditioning, any programming. It will come through these behaviors to show us where we are trying to implement that programming and that conditioning. And whether that programming and conditioning from us comes from trauma, how we were raised, how we were, our familiar traits, whichever, is massive. So they will get up every morning and consistent with their unconditional love. So our conditional love becomes unconditional. Programming and conditioning from familiar traits, from ancestral line, is all conditional. It's love. I'm not saying it isn't. But it's just a conditional love. This must happen so that this can happen. Unconditional love is, this just happens because it's love. That's the difference. It's not conditional to anything. But his unconditional love was coming back every morning to show me, to show me, to show me. And then as I went through a few patterns of realizing that each new behavior was showing me something new, another layer, something else to look into, I started to then be more aware, conscious, and working through it consciously. So then, of course, the healing was very active, conscious, the release, everything. But I wasn't yet stepping as far as unconditional love and gratitude. It was all through here, all through this thinking mind. Even though I was making changes, it was more like CBT, I think, where you are changing your cognitive behavior, but the heart, as a heart chakra, wasn't completely open, wasn't completely receiving, giving that unconditional love. And that came after, when I said that you know, I enter a 6 months course of spiritual practice, which then allow me to review every single of these healings through unconditional love and gratitude, and now I can step into that unconditional love and gratitude. So last night I have this massive realization of how much what this book means, and I couldn't, it was so much information that I couldn't think of how am I going to explain what this book is about. Because it was just such a massive shift for me, all these experiences. And like I said, they're not in details, it's just the lessons learned, so you'll be able to resonate to whatever situation and experience you're going through. So if you are a caretaker and you realize that there are behaviors in your child and you are willing to see the behavior of your children in a whole different light, you are willing to see the behavior of your children as a tool for you to look within yourself to heal without fear, to look within yourself without fear, to self-heal, not to try to change the child's behavior, because that's not what the message is here. The message is when you look within and you change within, the child's behavior will be automatically seized and stopped. Yes, there are lots of cognitive behavior advice out there, which I do use and I do take on, about validating the children's behavior, validating the children's emotions, working on your own emotions, and all that is valid, and do it. But also do it with the aim that you are going to look within and you are going to heal, so that the child doesn't have to feel triggered to show you any further about that specific learning process. And then will be then another layer, which then your child will feel, will sense. The child doesn't know with the thinking mind, the child knows with the energy. And that's why I say children are energy masters, and they will show you again something else, and you're going to go through cycles, however many cycles you need, however many layers you need. Take it all with love, take it all with communion with your child, take it all with cooperation with your child. So much unconditional love is coming through from them. Accept, receive. The minute you receive, you see it clearer, you see it quicker, you see it easier, you heal easier. And yes, I did in 2 steps. I healed the thinking mind, and then I went back to review and fall and feel the unconditional love and the gratitude. And you can do it all at once. You can do it all at once. So if you are a parent and you want to see your relationship with your child in a different light, in a different perception, their behaviors in a different perceptions, and your healing in a different perception, that is the book to buy. And feel free to join my free meditation group, because there is support, there is energy work, there's meditation, there's teachings, there is Q&As, there's love. Join us, be part of this change in yourself, for the sake of our children, for the sake of their future. They have so much potential to change our world with amazing ideas that will revolutionize how we live in this earth. But if they're stuck in our programming that and conditioning that being transferred to them, when their thinking mind starts to play out, you know, age 8, 9, 10, it will become more difficult for them to stay in unconditional love And like I said before, if they hurt enough, they will shut down. And these children are highly sensitive in their heart, in the energy of the heart, highly sensitive in the energy of love. They might not show it in a sense, showing as a sensitive behavior, but everything is happening in there. Okay, so be kind to yourself, and that kindness will be transferred to your children in an understanding that they see that you are seeing what they're showing to you and working on it. So I'll send you love and light.